Let's be honest, modern medicine is broken. Patients are dismissed, doctors are exhausted, and mental health care is decades behind. So it's time to disrupt the status quo, to challenge a system that fragments care, dehumanizes patients, and burns out clinicians. I'm Dr. Georgine Nanos, and this is The Kind Revolution, a podcast about breaking old paradigms, rebuilding medicine with compassion and science, and reimagining what healthcare can be when we finally get it right. Because change is here, and it's starting with us. Welcome to the revolution. Welcome, Michelle. Yes, you are awesome. I am so excited to have you here. So tell me about your personal journey. You've had such a beautiful evolution in your life from education to healing. Tell me a little bit and a lot about that so our listeners can get to know you.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick. So I was an administrator at an elementary school, and I started to get sick back in, I think it was like 2011 was when I first started getting sick. Couldn't figure out what it was. Took about a year to diagnose. The school had, it was kind of one of those sick buildings, and it had mold. A ceiling tile had been taken out, and I had been breathing in black mold for about 2 or 3 months. So about 10 months later, I had a bronchoscopy. They found the mold in my lungs, and it started a journey. It's just an amazing journey. Everything that happens to us, seems so horrible at the time or seems so tough at the time. And I'm not saying it wasn't a tough journey at certain points, but it's been an amazing journey too. It brought me to mindfulness, meditation, the Chopra Center. I got my PhD because even though I couldn't get up and walk across the room because of the breathing issues, my mind was still fine. And Western medicine at the time didn't really have a lot to offer me. It was prednisone or itraconazole, which is a very tough antifungal. But I knew that if I kept my body as healthy as I could, eventually something was going to work. And it did end up being Western medicine that saved me. And around 2022, I went on Dupixent. But it was a 10-year journey of, figuring out ways of keeping my body healthy, keeping my mind calm, being able to deal with a disease that every minute you felt it because you couldn't breathe. All the time, you couldn't take a deep breath and walk across the room and do the things that we normally do in day-to-day life. So I had to come up with a way to deal with those kind of limitations. And some of the things that I learned at the Chopra Center really helped with that. It did. And it's changed my life. It all has changed my life. I ended up going to the Chopra Center as a guest and becoming one of their master teachers there. And I taught yoga, I taught meditation, and I also taught about Ayurveda. And I hosted their retreats, and it was just a wonderful experience. And that never would have happened if what happened to me back at school hadn't happened. I ended up having to retire from that job and reinvent myself and refigure things out. Often we have to do that in our lives. And if you look at it as a way, wow, this brought this into my life that never would have come otherwise, and look at it from a positive point of view instead of looking at things that happen to us as very negative, it's life-changing because it's all about the journey. We're just on a journey here, and it's all about the journey. So anyway.
That is so true. And you and I talk about this all the time, like all these seemingly random events that take us through these convoluted challenges that, again, you're like, why is this happening? And, and then the end point gets you exactly to where you need to be. So in our everyday interactions here at Kind, so Michelle is our all-star, incredible, superhuman health coach. She can address the most challenging of issues for people and help them kind of navigate to a better, clearer path in their lives. And we talk a lot about the things that challenge us in our everyday lives. Tell me what balance and how those play a role, what being fully present looks like to you, how you communicate that to patients, because you're so good at it.
Okay, so I thought what I would start with, because everything is all mind, body, and spirit, if you believe in that, but it's all mind, body, it's all connected. So if we talk about the 6 pillars of health, what are the 6? Some say 7. I actually add one in for 8. What are those pillars of health that we all need to aspire to? So the first one is nutrition. What we give our body, what we feed our body is one of the most important things. Medicine, all the things we've talked about and heard, and you talk about to your patients all the time, it's true. Because when I got sick, there were 4 other people diagnosed with the same thing. It's called allergic aspergillosis, bronchopulmonary, it's a long name. But anyway, there were 4 other people in the practice diagnosed. When I left and moved to San Diego, because we lived in Maryland at the time, all 4 of them had passed. And
oh my God.
I really felt like the reason is that 3 of them never changed any of their lifestyle. They still ate a ton of sugar and sugar-fed mold. They didn't try to exercise or have physical movement. Sleep and stress management never got addressed. And the 4th person was a chiropractor, and he wouldn't take prednisone. So he wouldn't take the thing that literally saved my life, even though, we know prednisone's not good for you and we don't want to take it. It saved my life. If I hadn't taken prednisone, I would not be here today, as he is not here today. So I had to be the marriage between the 2. And the diet was huge, giving up sugar, really being careful about organic and, all the best food I could give my body is what I have done now for 12 or 13 years. It's been such a long time. I honestly can't believe it's that long of a time. Giving us, our bodies are the essential nutrients that fuel the body, and I'm going to give you my one non-negotiable for all 6 of the pillars, but I'll wait until the very end for that. The second pillar is physical activity and movement. Some type of movement during the day. Study just recently came out that I read 2 days ago that brisk walking's great. We know everyone should walk. We all keep track of our steps. Everybody's walking. I see so many people when I'm out during the day at the beach or at the neighborhood, wherever, everyone's walking. So getting up and walking as many steps as you can. But what they found in the study was that brisk walking actually, you wouldn't have to walk as long, where we talk about the 10,000 steps, which takes, it's 3 miles at least, depending on how fast you walk. But the brisk walking is 15 minutes to 30 at the most. So how fast is brisk walking? You're walking like you're late to an appointment.
That's like my regular everyday walking.
So you're doing that brisk walking all the time. Brisk walking for 15 minutes, 30 if you have the time, but at least 15 minutes a day. They showed more health benefits came from that than from just walking at a very slow pace for 30 minutes. Now, my brisk walking is going to be different than yours, and, yours is going to be different than some of your patients. But whatever it is for your body, you figure that out. You should still be able to talk, but it's a little more challenging to talk.
Yeah.
And we're talking about an hour. We're talking about 15 minutes.
Right.
So that's a non-negotiable. The third pillar of health is restorative sleep. And I don't think we talked much about it 10 years ago, but that's all you hear about now.
Right? Yes.
It really is.
So true.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have many, 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 many more ideas for restorative sleep than I do. It's actually a big challenge for me.
And it is for me too, as you know.
Yeah, I know. Magnesium, 1 milligram to 1.5 of melatonin, great thing to help you with. But one of the things they've found that can help the most is to have a regular schedule of when you go to sleep and when you wake up. So our most restorative, we go through several sleep cycles during the night. The most restorative sleep cycle is your first. So getting that in before 11 o'clock or around 11 o'clock, 10 to 11, I hate to say too much sooner than that. I mean, 9:30, 10 would be great. I never would do that. I know. I'm like, 9:30. I feel like it's still really early. I'd love to stay up till midnight, but I don't. But trying to go to bed at a time that's very consistent. Pick that time. It doesn't have to be the minute. It can be 20 minutes before, 20 minutes after, but around that time. So if you pick 10:30 and you're in bed by 10:15 or 10:45, you're doing great. And then waking up at the same time in the morning. That trains your body to sleep. It's one of the best ways they've found to actually train your body to sleep. So for those of us like you and I who struggle with sleep and getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, it's a really good way to start to train your body and your mind. Any questions about that?
No, I think that says it all.
You do?
The other thing, what was that sensate? Remember the sensate you gave me a
Yeah.
while back?
Mhm.
That really helped me. And the other thing that's helped me a lot is TMS. Like that changed my life for sleep, but just to help reset those circadian rhythms.
And
But
that's
yeah, that's
one of the many benefits of TMS is that, I mean, I know when people would come in here and, the very first day I would meet with them Tuesday morning, I'm like, well, how'd you sleep? Oh my God, it was the best night's sleep I've had in a month, or oh my
yeah,
God, I haven't slept that well in a couple years. It
right.
really, TMS does, it really, really help with that sleep aspect, just kind of
Yeah.
reprogramming. So, okay.
Next pillar.
Next pillar, stress management. We're going to talk a lot more about this in a minute, but there's nobody I don't think you could ask, unless it's some yogi that lives up in, the mountains, that would say that they don't feel stress.
Right.
In today's world, I feel more stressed now than I probably did 30 years ago. I mean, today's world is fast moving. These phones, the computer, the internet, social media, all of that has contributed to our stress. And we had a lot before that. It wasn't like stress wasn't part of our lives before
Right.
social media and all the other things that have come into it. So we're going to talk more about stress management in a minute, because working on the stress management actually helps 3 of the pillars. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The stress management is going to go with the next one, which is emotional resilience and regulation. Learning how to manage your emotions to be able to cope with the challenges that we face today. That's really one of our biggest challenges today, is how volatile our emotions can be. And a lot of it is, again, pick up that phone and
No, it's true.
I'll think of social media, and you're on Facebook and got on and you were in a good mood and you left and you feel crummy. Why? Why are you feeling crummy after you do that? Why are you doing it if you're feeling crummy? Is it a yum or a yuck? It's not making you feel good. Let's reevaluate. There are a lot of people nowadays who are turning off all social medias on their phone, getting rid of even Safari, kind of turning them into the old flip phones that we used to have. Because we're finding that this is one of the biggest causes of depression and anxiety. It's an amazing tool, and I love my phone. I'm not saying bad things about it. I love my phone. It's an amazing tool, but it also has contributed to depression and anxiety like we've never seen before.
Oh yeah, I always say it's the opposite of social media. It's actually lonely media. It contributes to so much social isolation and feelings of lowering self-esteem and increasing self-loathing. All that stuff is like so closely tied to that. And for our teens and young kids, it's even worse, because it's deeply forming those patterns at a vulnerable age for brain development.
Young age. That you're
Yeah,
so right. You are.
yeah.
And I did find, I hate to I know I don't want to keep bringing TMS in, but I did find
No,
that
we can. Like, it helps.
when a lot of the patients who were very, and I hate to say addicted, but it is an addiction. It's clearly
No,
an
it is.
addiction to our phones, that they were able to control those addictions more. Have you
Yeah.
found that at all?
Absolutely. And that's what a lot of the newer TMS studies are looking at, is really TMS as a tool for emotional regulation and resilience, more so than we ever used it for depression. Certainly it's very, very helpful for that and for some of these more severe mental health disorders. But now we're looking at more as a resilience tool that's applicable to all populations, for everybody, every age group. Like, everybody can benefit from it, because it is not just pushing happiness into the brain, it's actually helping build neuroplasticity so that you can better navigate life's challenges. And after TMS, you can cope with all the stuff that gets thrown at us. And I always say, like, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And
100%.
and that's what it's all about. And if you can build that resilience and train your brain into building those resilient patterns, that's where we can really make some headway for everyone, because we all need that.
We do. And the resilience, is one part of it, but the ability to put your phone down,
Yeah.
the ability to not be as addicted to it and leave your phone home occasionally. I remember my
What would
son.
that be like?
Oh no, I remember my son said one time he was
I
in
could
high
never
school.
do it.
Oh my God! And I took his phone away from him, and he
Yeah.
told me, he was like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. I forgot my lacrosse stick, and I almost didn't get to go to practice, and I wouldn't have been able to play in the game." And he goes into this whole big thing, and I said, "Well, what'd you do?" And he found a friend, and his friend's mother was picking him up. The mother dropped him off. He picked up his lacrosse stick and brought it home. I'm like, wow, you solved a problem.
Look at that.
It's amazing. I mean, we lived without phones, and
Right.
you
Right.
manage. You can
Yeah.
manage without your phone. We feel like
Of
we can't.
course.
Okay, I'll stop talking about that.
Okay.
Okay, the next pillar is social connections and relationships. So, friends, family, volunteer groups, people in groups that provide support to you and enhance your well being, not that bring you down, and maybe groups that give you purpose and you feel more satisfied with your life and more fulfilled. That's one of the 6 pillars. So
Yeah.
we all need to do that.
Yes, for sure.
The 7th that got added in was avoiding risky behaviors, which is alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. And I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't know that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do any of them ever. I'm just saying
Right.
moderation.
Right.
Your grandmother taught you about moderation. That was their generation's key word was moderation.
Yeah.
Eat like your grandmother and be moderate like your grandmother. So the easy part of it is eat well, sleep well, move more, love more, and reduce stress. So that's a quick way of looking at it. But how much time do we still have?
We have plenty of time. You can
Okay.
keep on going.
Okay, because what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the stress management and the emotional regulation, because those are 2 of the biggest things that we're having difficulty in today's society with. So if we think about our autonomic nervous system, and we have 2 branches. We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is our fight or flight. So if something's happening, if you're being attacked, and this started, of course, when we were probably cavemen, and it became a part of our way of dealing with life then. If something was going to attack you, your body said, oh my gosh, okay, what do we need to do to save the body? Because the mind and body are all about saving themselves. That's our whole goal, is to live. So how am I going to save myself? And so we go into something called fight, flight, or freeze. And the body, in 1 minute, the body increases its heart rate, to get blood moving and pumping through the body. You start sweating. Your digestion goes down, because when you have to fight, or freeze, you don't need digestion going on. So you have no digestion. You release adrenaline, and your pupils get dilated. It takes 1 minute to get into fight, flight, or freeze. Now, that probably happened to you as a caveman, once or twice, maybe a year, when you ran into a
Bear.
Bear. Okay. When you ran into a bear while you were out hunting or picking berries. How many times do you think typically the average person goes into fight or flight today?
At least a few times a week, if not daily.
3 to 5 times daily.
Not surprised.
Person.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
So it takes 1 minute to get into fight or flight and 2 to 3 hours to get out of fight or flight. So that means our bodies, especially depending on your type of, really high strung or not, you might be in fight or flight most of the day. Really, most of the day you're in fight or flight. So all these things just happen to your body, and now you're a little more stressed. Your body's stressed. Your heart rate's high. Your digestion isn't working very well. It's taking 2 to 3 hours for it to come back to get regulated, and you're going into it 3 to 5 times a day. And you think, when do I go into it? I don't know. When somebody cuts you off in traffic, that's usually when I go into it. Your boss says something to you that is upsetting to you. When you have a argument with your mother or your sister or your friend or anything.
Yeah.
All of those things put you into fight or flight. Our body does not recognize the difference between having an argument with a child, because certainly as mothers we sometimes will have arguments with our children, So it doesn't recognize the difference of having an argument with your children or all of a sudden seeing a bear that might come and attack you. You're going to go into fight or flight for either one of those. And now we have to figure out what we can do to get that stress out of the body. You know, there's always this new thing called like shaking afterwards, because have you ever seen a dog, like after they've been really scared, they shake?
Yes, yes.
They're just releasing all that anxiety and tension from their body, but we don't do those kind of things. We just internalize it, and that's why our shoulders are tight, you know, our back bothers us. Yeah, exactly. You want to kind of move my neck part, you know, doesn't move so because we need the parasympathetic system, which is our rest and digest side of the autonomic nervous system, to come in, slow down the heart rate, lower the blood pressure, start to stimulate that digestion again, so the food that we're eating during the day actually gets digested and we get the nutrients we need. The parasympathetic restores the body to its normal state. So how can we best do this? Take a guess. You know what I'm going to say.
Meditate.
Yeah, meditate, mindfulness. It restores the body quicker. So instead of 2 to 3 hours, usually by the end of any kind of meditation time you have, you know, it restores the body back to that same homeostasis part, which is where we want the body to be with less stress. And it helps the fight or flight response not happen quite as quickly. I will tell you that before I started meditating, to say that I could have been very reactive is a mild understatement. But
I can't even picture you like that.
I know, see, people say that now, but if you talk to my family,
they're like, you have no idea.
Yeah, she definitely could be very reactive. But I'm not, because meditation also helps us not be so reactive. So my daughter-in-law was visiting, and I lost one of our sets of keys to the Highlander, and she had the other set, and all of a sudden we couldn't find it. And she was very upset about it. And I'm like, I said, we'll find it. I said, probably Josh used it, or, you know, it's no big deal. Even if we have to go get one, who cares? You know, it's not that big of a deal. And she's like, I can't believe you're so calm about this. You'll have no keys to your car. But 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have been that calm. I'd have been running around that house looking for those keys.
Yeah.
It changes you. It does change your reaction to a fight or flight moment. And I can't tell you how much meditation, mindfulness, that type of practice will help you. You know, we think of meditation, you're like, I can't meditate. I can't.
Well, that's what everybody tells me, right?
Because
if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Because I have all these thoughts come into my head. Well, we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day we have. If you think you're not going to have a thought while you're meditating, you're
brain dead, right?
Yeah, you're dead too. You're dead and you're crazy, because of course you're going to have these thoughts. But you just realize the thought and send it away. Do a meditation that's guided. It's so much easier. Do a guided, do a yoga nidra. Go to yoga, do tai chi, swim, go sit at a bench and look at the ocean. All of those are meditation practices. All of them will help you bring in that parasympathetic nervous system and calm down the sympathetic nervous system, which is really, if we talk about the 6 pillars, it helps the restorative sleep. It helps your nutrition, because your body is absorbing and using your food more. It helps with the stress management. It helps with the emotional regulation. And it actually helps with your social connections and your relationships, because you're not as a reactive person as you used to be to your family and friends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing it didn't help with was the physical movement. And if you're swimming, it can kind of do that too.
Right.
So, yeah. So when we think about how can we most help ourselves deal with the 6 pillars of health, mindfulness or meditation practice is really the most important thing you're going to do.
I like that. So for the people who, and so many out there like me, especially us type A people, are like, I don't have time, I can't do it, like, how do I do it, I'm not good at it, and all this stuff. Like, what's like, give me like, how can a couple tips to just try it? Like, what do I do? Pretend I've never done it before.
Okay, so I'm going to use a client that we had here who makes me look like a calm person. Just
Someone that makes me look, I'm a
really,
lot calmer than I used to
you
be. I don't
are
know
a
if
lot
you've
calmer, and there
noticed.
is no
A
doubt about that.
lot of TMS has really regulated me.
You are amazingly calm. So, you know, what's the best thing or the easiest thing to do is a guided yoga nidra. So she was also a doctor. I've never met a doctor that doesn't need meditation. Deepak one time, because I worked at the Chopra Center for 7 years, and I was at an event that Deepak was at. A doctor came up and he was like, "There is no way I can meditate. I have patients. I am a surgeon. I have
No,
3 children. I have a wife. I teach. There is no way I can meditate. I just don't have the time." He's sitting up there and he's nodding the whole time. And he was like, I totally understand. Oh, yeah, because he's a doctor too. He was a heart
right.
doctor. And he said, "You, sir, need to meditate twice a day."
Yeah.
It's true, because the more stuff you have like that, the more you need it, truly.
Yes.
When you
Yeah.
have being a doctor is a very difficult job, I mean, life and death. And, you have people coming at you all the time with so many different kinds of things that you have to deal with. It's a very difficult job. And and certainly this doctor that came, for TMS she was very, oh my God, and she had children. It was the same kind of thing. And so I tried to talk her into doing a yoga nidra, and she's like, "Fine, I'll do it. It's not going to help me. I'm not going to do anything, but fine." So she did it in between one of the treatments, and she came out and she was like, "It's the first time my mind's ever calmed down. First time ever my mind's ever calmed down." That to me is why yoga nidra is so helpful, because you don't have to do anything. You can literally say early in the morning, right
Explain
before
what yoga nidra is for our audience who doesn't know what it is.
So yoga nidra is called yogic sleep. So it is a guided meditation where all you have to do is lay down and listen to somebody guide you through the yoga nidra. And they have yoga nidras for everything now. They have yoga nidras for heart health. They have yoga nidras for getting rid of past trauma. Just pick a yoga nidra that speaks to you. They have them everywhere. I use Insight Timer because it's a free, and
Yeah.
that's what I always recommended to all our
Right.
clients. It's a free app that you can get, and they have literally thousands of them that you can pick from. Pick a voice that you like, because you're going to be laying there. If it's somebody's voice that bothers you, you'll never be able to get into that. But when you're done, it can take 20 to 30 minutes. They have longer ones if you like, but the average is 20 to 30 minutes. And they say that if you do a 30-minute yoga nidra, it's your body gets as much restful sleep as if you slept for 3 hours. So
Oh,
when
wow.
I know, so when I have insomnia and I don't sleep, I always do a yoga nidra either in the morning or sometime during the day to make up for that lack of rest that my body got. But, it helps your mental health, lowers your stress and anxiety, increases, happiness and mood, enhances your focus and concentration, increases your self-awareness, lowers depression, physical health. It lowers your blood pressure, reduces pain, improves your sleep, boosts the immune system. How can we not at least consider adding
Yeah.
this in? When you're looking at 6 or 7 or 8 pillars of health?
No, I
How can
think that's
you not
critical. Yeah.
add that in?
Kind of adjacent to meditation, can we talk for like a quick minute about breath work? Because you taught me a technique a long time ago. Actually, maybe not that long time ago. It was a few years ago that has really helped me a lot with calming and with sleep. Like if I'm like really at my wit's end for sleep, the inhale with the prolonged exhale, like just 3 breaths of that, sometimes I'll just fall right asleep, which is shocking. Can you kind of go into that a little bit so you can help other
Yeah.
spouses like me?
So this is the easiest breath you can do, because of my, the breathing for me. Heavy breath work it kept me more awake because I could feel that I was having trouble breathing. So this is one that calms the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve, starts up here and goes all the way down to your tailbone. It's part of the parasympathetic, the autonomic nervous system. Bringing the vagus nerve into the parasympathetic nervous system is one of the best things you can do. And this breath does it. So it's an inhale for 4, exhale for 8. So it's the easiest breath. And eventually you don't even have to count.
Yeah,
You count
no,
at
it's
the
great.
beginning to teach yourself. And then all of a sudden, like I was walking down the stairs like the other day and I was a little stressed about something and I was walking down the stairs and I caught myself taking a deep breath in and then I just exhaled like the whole rest of the way down the stairs. And at the end of the stairs, I thought, oh, I just did my calming breath, you know? I mean, you do it automatically
It is
after
so
all.
effective. It is so effective. And it's so simple.
It's so simple. So inhale for 4, exhale for 8.
Yep.
Best.
Can't, and if you can't hold your breath that long to begin with, then just double the exhale, whatever that is, and then work up to it.
Right. Do it for 2 and exhale for 4. And it's better if you
Exactly.
exhale through your mouth. It does.
Yes.
Exhaling through your mouth allows your body to feel that sense of sighing, like when we go,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, and we kind of let go of everything. It triggers that in your body. So exhaling through an open mouth is great, but always inhaling through your nose.
Yes. There was something that you said earlier that really struck me that I wanted us to also explore. You were talking about the other 4 people that had this condition in the practice with you, and you were talking about the chiropractor who didn't do the prednisone. And that just kind of brings to mind so much of what I'm seeing today is this polarity in the way people approach medicine. It's like, I'm going to do all Western medicine or I'm going to do all holistic natural medicine. And there's no coming together of the two. It's either or. And that's where I think we're failing. And if people get, really polarized in these camps, then we're missing so much. And like it's really the best practices of both where I think real healing can be found. And it's so hard to get people to see that these days. Like, what the hell's going on?
It's funny because, 20 years ago, you couldn't have gotten anyone to do a breath work or,
Right.
a
Right.
meditation or anything. And now it's kind of the pendulum swinging the other way. But honestly, the only way I feel like we can truly help ourselves is the marriage between the two. And, I was big on not taking, I have a familial history of high cholesterol and heart disease. And my mom had 2 open heart surgeries, cholesterol over 300, and her
Yeah.
liver just made it. And unfortunately, every bad thing that my parents had, I did inherit. So I inherited that from her. And I was big on, oh, I'm going to use the red yeast rice and I'm going to do this. And I have to say, Dr. Nanos was the one who was like, no, you are going to these 4 tests. We're going to give you all this test and I'm going to show you, where you're having so many issues with your heart. And I took the cardiac calcium. I did all the blood work that
Yeah.
you gave. And, it showed me that I do need to take.
Yeah.
I do. Not everybody does. I'm not
No.
saying that a lot
Right.
of people, but I already do the diet. I already
Right.
do the exercise. There's nothing I eat in my diet that has cholesterol in it.
Exactly.
So
And those are the people that need the statins the most because they have nowhere else to improve and
I have
they're
nowhere else
just
to improve.
on,
And
yeah, a dangerous trajectory.
so if I had just blindly looked at her and was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I only will stick to one side, the holistic side, then, more than likely in 5 or 10 years, I would have a heart attack and I would die, and I would miss,
Yeah.
20 years of my life because of that. And it's
Right.
that stubbornness that only one thing will work. The stubbornness, I remember the nurse telling me he would not take prednisone. I can guarantee you I would have died 12 years ago if I had not taken prednisone many times. It
Oh,
saved.
there's no doubt. I know the condition you had. That is, yeah.
And now I take Dupixent and I don't have to take prednisone, and that's great.
Right.
Medical science caught up with me, and how great is that? But I'm alive for medical science to catch up to me. If you're
Yes.
not willing to help yourself with what is available in Western medicine, you might not be alive for when Western medicine does catch up to you and can
Yeah.
help you. That's
It's
just
so
my.
true.
I think it has to be a marriage between the two.
It's so true. Yeah. And I think too, finding providers, unfortunately, the way the pace of traditional medical practice is set up in Western medicine, there's not enough time to have some of these deeper conversations. So I'm fortunate that we can have like these more in-depth conversations and I have time to do that with my patients. But a lot of doctors will just prescribe and not even explain it. And I think that's where the disconnect is. And there's this mistrust. I hate prescribing medicine. If I'm telling you need to take a medication, it's because you absolutely need it. Like I would prefer not to. So yeah, I wish there was more time and space in the way medicine is set up, but I don't think we're getting that anytime soon.
I don't think we're getting it anytime soon. People need to, look at the one side and then go in with as much knowledge as they can when they go into their doctors and be like, okay, here's what I'm seeing, help me with this. It's what I do.
Yes.
I use ChatGPT sometimes. But I love
You do.
ChatGPT. It gives you both things. It tells you to do.
I take credit for teaching her ChatGPT.
She absolutely can take credit for that. And first, I'm like, oh my God, really?
God.
Totally
Okay, we're gonna do a very fun rapid fire. Okay, what is your morning routine in 3 words? Just say the first thing that pops into your head.
Meditation. First
Okay.
thing I do when I wake up.
A favorite mantra or affirmation?
Just have been safe. I always will be safe.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, what's one like super trendy wellness trend that you really like?
Super trendy wellness trend. Right now, I'm looking into, I don't know the name of it, but
Oh, okay.
I'm looking into that. I haven't started it yet, but
Okay.
I have to study about it for at least 2 months before I decide if I'm
Okay. Okay, what's one book or teacher that's deeply influenced your path?
well, I have to say Deepak.
Yeah, okay. If you could tell every listener, one thing you'd want them to start doing tomorrow, what would it be?
For women, I would say take 30 grams of protein and half an hour to an hour before you wake up. I mean, after you wake up.
After we get, okay, what about for men?
Men too. I mean, we all need the protein, but especially for women because it's a hormonal thing to go along with the fact that it regulates your blood sugar, lowers your cortisol levels, and it keeps you not as hungry for the rest of the day. And since after 40 and 50, we're all trying to lose weight and we're hungry all the time and we're all gaining weight for no reason, the protein helps.
What is your favorite supplement blend?
Ayurveda, but you can only get that through a practitioner. What's
Pure.
the one we Pure.
Pure.
Yeah,
Pure. Yeah. Pure's my favorite one. Yeah. It's a good blanket one that.
Great one. That's one thing you can always give to somebody and know that they'll get the safest, most
Yeah.
pure, form of it. Mega Food's
Okay.
good too.
Favorite movie?
My cousin Vinny. I've probably seen it 10 times.
Oh my God. Okay. Coffee or tea?
And tea. I do coffee in the
I thought you
morning
were
too.
gonna say okay. And favorite 80s trend?
There weren't many. I don't know. That's a really hard one.
Okay. Favorite 80s song? Shoulder pads. Favorite 80s song?
Oh, I don't know. It's really hard. I loved Grease in the 80s.
Oh, yes. Okay.
All those,
You're the one that I want. Grease
Yeah.
Lightning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. It's perfect. Oh, will you do a final? Can we do like a little 5-second meditation to just kind of close us out
5-second one.
or whatever?
Yeah.
Something that just,
Your eyes.
okay.
Take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And then just sit as still as you can. And from the top of your head, move down your body, relaxing your jaw. Take a deep breath in.
I feel so much better.
No, just a little bit.
This has been so much fun. I miss you.
I miss you too. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. I really did.
We're gonna do it again. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Michelle. Thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. And if you want to learn more, please reach out to us at Kind Health Group. Michelle is here when I ask her to be here. So if you need something, we can make it happen with Michelle sometimes. All right. Always sometimes. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for joining the Kind Revolution. If this gave you something real, hope, perspective, or a fresh way to think about health, please share it, subscribe, and pass it on. Medicine won't change on its own, but together we can reimagine it and build something smarter, kinder, and create a system that truly heals. This is the Kind Revolution with Dr. Nanos, where science meets compassion and the future of medicine gets brighter one conversation at a time. Thanks for joining the revolution.